Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel entitled The Toxic Truth. And this will be the beginning of many, many more videos that we will be posting, Dr. Glenn and myself. This will be one of a 5-part initial series that I would love to enlighten you about the toxic truth regarding water. Many of you know that Dr. Glenn, my amazing hubby, and myself, we have been holistic health practitioners since the late 1980s. We are both retired chiropractors, and we started our holistic health journey back in late 1980s. We've been in health and wellness ever since, and we've always had a very big concern for the toxicity that every single one of us are being exposed to. 30 years ago, it wasn't quite as bad as it is now, but it's always been a problem, and it's a problem that's getting progressively worse. So a lot of people they ask us, why are you so passionate? Why are you always talking about toxins? We're not passionate about toxins. We are really passionate about helping people to live long and healthy lives, helping people to live their best lives. And without health, it's really hard to do that. So we've always been very aware, and we've always done the best that we could to educate, to enlighten, and to really help offer people not only the insight, but solutions that could also help to reduce the amount of toxic load that we're all being exposed to. Because let's face it, our bodies are brilliant. We have such an amazing innate capacity to heal. We are so resilient. We're so resistant to so much. And at the same time, when that body burden becomes too much, when it's too overwhelming, that becomes our tipping point. And that's why when we look around, there's so many people who aren't well, so many people who are diagnosed with cancer. People are aging prematurely. There's so much going on with autoimmune disease and with so many debilitating and very, very serious health conditions. And for the most part, most people are challenged with something, right, health wise. And one of the main reasons is that every single one of us are really bombarded by the toxic load. Every single one of us. We're living in a toxic world. Nobody's exempt, no matter how much we try to do to eat right and exercise and do all the right things. Does that make a difference? Yes. But there's no escape from this. So we have to limit, we have to reduce, we have to really just try to mitigate that load, right? So that we can have more of a chance, more of a fighting chance to live long and healthy. So, having said that, these next 5 videos, today's video and the next 4, so it's going to be a 5-part series that I really want to emphasize the toxic truth about water. Now, within this channel, Glenn and I are going to be doing a lot of videos about, just all aspects of toxicity, toxins in our air, things we need to know about the electromagnetic field overload that we're being exposed to, and gosh, all the toxins in our food and how we can, you know, protect ourselves in that regard, and things that we're cooking with. And I mean, there's so much to it. And we want to try to educate you as much as we can, because knowledge is power when we use that knowledge to take some action, right? So what you do with the information is obviously up to you. We all have to take responsibility for our own health, for sure. But we feel it's our mission and our purpose to bring this information to you. So for today, as the part 1 of the 5-part series, I'd like to just talk a little bit about water. So as a nutritionist, I've always recommended to all of my patients, my clients through the years to hydrate our bodies well. We need to hydrate well. Every single one of us need to be drinking half of our body weight in ounces of water. So for example, a 150-pound adult would drink 75 ounces of pure plain water each and every day. So when I say plain water, I'm not talking about the water in your tea or the water in your protein shake or the water in your bone broth, whatever, right? I'm talking about plain water. But the other most important word is the word pure. It's got to be pure water. And I want to just enlighten you a little bit about what's in our water. Before I do, just the importance of proper hydration. 70% of our body is made of water. Every single cellular function needs proper hydration in order to be optimized. And so even being slightly dehydrated, we're not even aware because our thirst centers are typically turned off. So we don't even realize that we're thirsty. Sometimes we think we're hungry when we're actually thirsty. So we really need to wake up that thirst center and start to hydrate more, again, with pure water. Now, even being slightly dehydrated, you can get headaches and feel fatigue and brain fog and constipation, other digestive issues. There's a lot that can be happening symptom-wise when we're not hydrating properly. So we know how important it is, but now let's talk about the purity of the water we need to be drinking, okay? So unfortunately, very unfortunately, our water, and right now I'm talking about the US, and I'm talking about municipal water. People who have wells, they also need to be very, very concerned because the toxins, the contaminants, the poisons are in our water supply throughout. It's really so pervasive. But I'm going to talk to you today. Most people have municipal water. And in other episodes, we'll definitely be talking more about well water. But for today, I want to talk to you about municipal water. So the water that we are drinking, cooking with, bathing in, showering in, brushing our teeth with, washing our hands, doing our dishes, our laundry, all the water coming into our house. If we're not filtering the water, let's talk about what we're up against. So what's in the water? Well, first of all, there are toxic heavy metals such as lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic. Toxic heavy metals, some of which are known as neurotoxins. So they're toxic to the neuron, to the nerve cell. And there's been a huge rise over the years with Parkinson's, with MS, with Alzheimer's, with dementia, with a lot of conditions and diseases that have to do with the brain and the nervous system. So the toxic heavy metals are very, very prevalent in our food, but today we're talking water. We also see a lot of pesticides and herbicides from, from farming and, agriculture and all of that. It's getting into our water supply. So we know that. There's also a ton of what we call forever chemicals, also known as PFAS. They've been in the news a lot lately. It's a real big problem because these have been around, these forever chemicals have been around since, I believe, the 1950s. And the problem with these, and the reason why they're called forever chemicals, is it takes a very, very, very long time for these chemicals to degrade. And they accumulate in our environment, and in particular, they accumulate in our bodies. And they are very toxic, very dangerous to our body, and this is in our water supply. So there's the forever chemicals, there's the pesticides, the herbicides, the heavy metals. There's also tons of pharmaceuticals. So many people are on lots of different prescription medications. And when we excrete or when we dump them down the toilet or the drain or in the garbage, wherever we're throwing them out, it's getting into our water supply. So we have pharmaceuticals. We also have biologicals. So bacteria and cysts and viruses and different microorganisms that are also very abundant in our water. So, having said that, when water is treated, and all city water in our country is treated, it needs to be treated for these biologicals, for the bacteria and the viruses and the cysts and those types of microorganisms that could potentially harm us, that could make us very sick. So water is treated with chlorine, with chloramine, with bromine, with chlorine type compounds. Now, it does the trick there, meaning it will kill those biologicals. So there's a purpose and a reason. However, sometimes for every plus, there's a minus. And there's a big minus with this, because leading cancer scientists have indicated, and there's a lot you can go and really, look at all of this data, that the majority of human cancers are caused by the chlorine byproducts. So chlorine combines with natural compounds and form these byproducts that we're going to be talking more about, especially in our next episode in part 2. So these byproducts are extremely carcinogenic. The majority of human cancer, that's a big, bold statement, right? So we have these chlorine byproducts, we have pharmaceuticals, we have these biologicals, we have toxic heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides, and now imagine, so it's treated, and now it's going to travel to our home down pipes that are perhaps 20 years old, 40 years old, 80 years old, upwards of 200 years old. Unfortunately, most of the pipes are not new. They're not being replaced. Sometimes they get fixed because there's a break, there's a leak, and all kinds of things are getting into our water. And in other episodes, we'll be talking about boil water alerts, okay, which happen all the time because there are cracks and leaks in the pipes. And so all of this stuff is getting in. So by the time it gets to our homes, and now it's, we're bathing in it, we're showering in it, we're drinking, we're cooking in it, with it, and we are consuming, whether through digestion or through our membranes when we brush our teeth, or through our skin when we shower, or through breathing the chlorine off-gassing in a shower, in a hot shower. Like, all of these things are getting into our body. So when we talk about pure water, we need to filter all of those contaminants. They need to be filtered out. Otherwise, we are poisoning ourselves. We're already being poisoned by so many things. This is something that's such a simple fix. Now, a lot of people turn to bottled water. They think that's a good alternative. A lot of people know about the contaminants in our tap water. And so they turn to bottled water thinking that that's a good alternative. Well, I hate to tell you this, but it's like maybe worse. They're finding over 25,000 different chemicals, toxins in bottled water. There's recently, over the past few years, there's been many recalls. And you can look this up, hundreds of thousands of bottles of water being recalled. And there's 2 particular companies that come to mind that are fairly recent. And why? Because there are contaminants in there. So the water that we're relying on, aside from it maybe not being as pure as we want it to be in a bottle, plus we're paying for it. We're already paying for the water in our home. Now we're paying to outsource our water. So now we're drinking bottled water, which is, not necessarily going to be pure. And what about the microplastics? That's a whole other conversation that we're going to dive into deeper in future episodes. But for now, just so you understand, those microplastics are showing up and they're in the bottles. And we drink the water from the water bottle, and these microplastics are getting into our organs and causing further different types of issues, aside from what it's doing to our environment, to our oceans. It's, again, we're going to be talking more about this stuff down the road. But for today, I just wanted you to understand and bring your awareness to the toxic truth about water. It's kind of daunting, right? To know that this is what we're up against. So filtering our water is not an option. It's just really understanding how are we going to do that? What are our options? And I'll be talking about that in this series. But for today, I just wanted to really give you that overview so that you know to in the next the second video of the series, I am going to be going into really helping you to find out what specifically do you need to look for in your water in your location. There's a consumer advocate group that I will share with you and show you how we can identify. I want you to understand what some of these terms mean so you can go check it out for yourself, or you can send me your zip code and I'll send you that information. But I want you to understand what it all means. All right. So for now, just know that there are solutions, and it's really not about burying our head in the sand or getting, down and out and depressed about all this stuff. It's just about doing whatever we can to give ourselves the best fighting chance to live a long and healthy life, and especially for our children and our grandchildren. All right, so that's it for now. I will be back with video 2 of this series. Bye for now.